This is like my 10th attempt at making this video. Es de que cada vez que trato de hacer este video, pienso que quiero decir algo o que voy a decir algo de una manera o estoy completamente lista para hablar de un tema y la realidad es que prendo la cámara y mi mente se pone en blanco and I don't know what to talk about and everything that I had in mind just goes out the door. And I can refer back to my notes as much as I want to, but today I kind of got the vision and I got this understanding of why everything happened the way it happened for me. My whole life I had a plan and I had my reality created for me, and it was a reality that I inherited or that I took as my own from things that my parents and my family wanted for me, things that my friends wanted for me, and all these ideas of what they wanted me to become, I intook as ideas of my own. Oh my gosh, I'm so itchy. I don't know, my back is so itchy. I took those ideas as my own, like for my own. And I always thought that following everybody else's vision of what I was supposed to be or become. Oh my gosh, that just fell off. What the flip? Everybody else's idea of what I wanted to become always felt like I was taking the right path. I siempre crecí con la idea de que siempre tenía que hacer lo correcto, whether I wanted to or not. Like I always had to do what was right. And after a while, I want to say like in high school, I started realizing that I always did what was right. Never what I wanted, what was right. And sometimes what was right was not something that made me happy. So I started college and I decided to follow my heart a lot. But because I had programmed my mind my full like 18, 19 years to do what was right, it was very hard to follow my heart. Very hard. I didn't realize that the past 10 years of my life have been a constant cycle for me to learn to do what's gonna make me feel good, to do what's gonna make me feel happy, and to do what I want, not what other people want. I learned really recently about what karma is from Jay Shetty. He wrote a book called like the 8 Rules of Love or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I was reading it. And in this book, he talks about how there's a difference between dharma and karma. And karma is not what we think it is. Karma is more so a cycle that we continue to repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And until we learn not to repeat that cycle, karma is over. So I was in this karmic cycle for 10 years. I continued to ask for change and for the tools and the experiences adequate enough for me to practice new things, new mindsets, new thoughts, new words. And I thought, I really thought I was breaking that karmic cycle of 10 years. I really did. And I might have started crumbling it, and I might have started closing in on it. And I don't know. I always start these videos thinking that I know what I want to say, but to be honest, I don't have a clue what I want to say. I just want to sit here and stare at the camera and like not talk. A few months ago, at the middle of October, in the middle of October, I had to set boundaries with someone who was very hard for me to get rid of in my life. And I don't know what was the point of view of this other person, but for me, it felt like I always had to be the one putting in work. Like, I had to be the one to lead. And with a lot of my friendships, it has felt like that too. With a lot of my other friendships have felt like that. Like, I've had to always be the leader. And in my last relationship, I felt like I had to step up into that role of being the leader. And I carried a lot of masculine energy within me because I had to step up to that role. And now I'm realizing that I didn't want to step into that role, but that's always what I was taught to step into. And not in a bad way or anything, but there wasn't a lot of masculines around me who could teach me the role of being a feminine. Just like that. That's what it was. And coming into union with my divine counterpart, I now realize that I probably should have approached that a lot different, but I didn't know any better. Because if I had known that this union was going to be a divine union, I would have stepped down from my high almighty queen energy into my princess energy. And that might sound a little odd, but I think because I always had to be alpha and in my masculine energy, and I always had to be the one to provide, and I always had to be the one to take care of everybody, and I always had to be the one to figure everything out, I felt like I also had to take the lead in this relationship. I also felt that. And unfortunately, I've come to realize that that kind of approach isn't going to continue to work. Not just in this relationship, but in all types of relationships that I'm in. That this is my season of surrendering to everything that I knew and everything that I was, everything that I am. this is why things started to crumble for me. And I never realized that it was to prepare me for a season of surrendering to God, to surrendering to alignment with the higher power and universe, to surrender to my marriage and to my family, to surrender to my femininity, to my independence. I didn't realize that everything was preparing me for that, for a season of surrendering. And for a really long time, I always felt like I was at war with myself. Spiritual warfare is what I like to call it. I really, really felt like I was getting pulled in so many different directions. Like I didn't know where I was going. I mean, I still don't, but the reason I feel like a lot of that crumbled for me is because that wasn't for me to figure out. That was for me to surrender and submit. Which is why I no longer had a clear vision of where I'm going. Lately, I've been getting this message repeatedly from multiple people. If it's not at work, it's outside of work, it's out when I'm at the stores or whatever it is. Lately, I've been getting the message that I just need to keep being me. And I just need to live my most true self. I constantly get complimented on my personality and how welcoming I am. And I'm constantly being told that I have such a vibrant personality, which is true. I really do. But I often don't let that peek through. I don't let that true self for myself like shine, because I felt that I always wanted to be humble, and I always wanted to hide myself, because putting my own self on a pedestal leads to high ego and, you know, creyéndomela muy type shit, you know? But I'm coming to terms with the fact that there's nothing wrong with me putting myself on a pedestal. There's nothing wrong with me allowing the change happening within me to love myself and to love every version of who I am and who I was and who I'm becoming. There's nothing wrong with me no longer chasing what's next, but instead I should live, breathe, think, act how I want to be, how I am. Following my authenticity is going to be the compass to my success. I don't know what kind of success I'm chasing or kind of success I was chasing. I don't know what kind of success I am attracting into my life. But whatever it is, for some reason this past week, it's like the universe gave me signs through multiple people and videos and things I've read that it's time for me to surrender and uncover past versions of myself and learn from them, all while still continuing to shine without the desire to be seen. I think I'm gonna go through a few days of just staying to myself and like, I want to call it a hibernation period. But this could just be a ego death part 2. Because I don't feel sad. And I don't feel broken. But I don't feel whole. And I don't feel complete. And this is something, it's not a peculiar feeling. This is the same feeling that I went through back in December. And I just know that when things get really bad, they can only get better. So if things feel really bad right now, things are only gonna get better.